A rich billionaire walked into his office one morning, but what he saw made him stop on the spot. A small, homeless little girl wearing torn, dirty clothes, quietly cleaning the floor of his office like a worker. Who was this little girl? Why was she working instead of being in school? And what hidden truth was about to change both their lives forever? Sit back and find out as we delve into this emotional story. In the local side of the busy city of Fasak, a 6-year-old girl named Amelia sat quietly on a small old chair inside a tiny one-room apartment. The room was modest, the walls were cracked, the only window was half broken, but to Amelia, it was still better than the cold streets. Her eyes followed Florence, the woman who had taken her in when she was abandoned by her relatives. Her only surviving parent, her grandmother, had recently passed due to old age. It was Florence who stepped forward and took her in, giving her a place to stay and someone to hold on to. Florence tied her scarf and folded her safety jacket, getting ready for another hard day at work. Amelia spoke in a soft voice. "Auntie Florence, can I follow you to work today?" Florence looked at her quickly. "No, my child, you cannot. You are still small. You should stay inside and rest." "But your children have gone to school," Amelia said quietly. "I will be alone. I can help you. Just let me come, please." Florence shook her head. "Amelia, listen to me. I know I cannot send you to school because I don't have the money, but that does not mean you should be in harm's way. The road is not safe. You are only 6. But Amelia held her hand. "I will stay close to you. I will not run around. I just don't want to be alone. Please, Auntie Florence." Florence smiled gently. She knew Amelia well. Even if she refused, the child would still insist. "All right," she said softly, "but you must be careful. You're still a child." She looked at Amelia again and added, "I will give you my safety jacket. I can manage without it, but you need it more." Florence removed the large orange safety jacket she used for work and placed it gently over Amelia's small shoulders. The jacket was oversized, almost reaching her knees, but she wore it proudly. Florence said with a soft smile, "Now stay close to me and be careful." Amelia nodded happily, holding the jacket with her tiny hands, ready to follow Florence to work. Amelia nodded fast. "Yes, Auntie Florence, thank you." They both stepped out and walked toward the road where Florence worked as a government road sanitary worker. Life was already hard for her as a widow with 4 children, yet she tried to smile as Amelia held her hand at the worksite. Amelia greeted everyone politely. The worker smiled at her sweet manners. "Florence, who is this little angel?" one woman asked. "Her name is Amelia," Florence replied. "She stays with me." Her co-workers welcomed her with warm hearts, but not long after, something changed. A large government truck was parked by the roadside ahead of them. No one had seen it stop. No one knew why it was there. A strange quietness fell over the workers. Florence whispered, "Why is the supervisor here?" The back door of the truck opened, and a man stepped out. His face was serious. His steps were slow. He held a small brown file in his hand. He walked toward them. "Good morning, everyone," he said in a cold voice. "I came with an important message. Please listen." The workers stood still. "The government is cutting down the budget this year. Because of that, some workers will lose their jobs. I have the list here. I am sorry." Amelia felt Florence's fingers tighten around her small hand. The supervisor opened the file and began to call names one after the other. Slow, heavy. Then he stopped in front of Florence. "Mrs. Florence, you are on the list. Today is your last day. Here is the payment for the days you worked this month," handing her a small brown envelope. "I am sorry." Florence's mouth opened slightly. She looked lost. "Sir, please. I have 4 children and this child too. Please, I need this job." The supervisor shook his head. "It is not in my power. I am sorry." He turned and walked back to the truck. Florence stood frozen. Her eyes were red, but she did not cry. Amelia looked up at her. "Auntie Florence, what will we do now?" Florence bent down slowly, took Amelia's hand and whispered, "My child, I don't know, but we must go. We cannot stay here." Without another word, she held Amelia tightly and walked down the busy road. They had no idea that this painful moment was only the beginning of a story they could never have imagined. At that time, a man sat quietly in the passenger seat of a shiny black SUV. His name was Davies. He was handsome, well-dressed, and known across the city as a billionaire with a kind heart. He was going through messages on his phone, replying to reports from his workers and business partners. His eyes moved from one email to another. He was calm, focused, and serious. Davies had not always lived this kind of life. Growing up had been very hard. He was only a child when he lost both parents in a gas explosion. After that tragic day, Davies had struggled to survive. He did small jobs just to feed. Some days he washed cars, other days he carried goods at the market. He lived from hand to mouth praying for a miracle. That miracle finally came when a wealthy couple saw him one cold evening. They took pity on him and adopted him. His adopted mother, Vera, treated him like her own son and sent him to school. Years passed. Davies grew, studied hard, and later graduated from a top business school. He slowly built his own company from nothing. Now he was one of the most respected businessmen in the city. People talked about his wealth and his good heart. As the SUV moved through the city, Davies' phone rang. He smiled when he saw the name. He picked up the call. "Good morning, Mother. How are you?" Ver's warm voice filled his ears. "My son, I just wanted to check on you. You work too much. Are you eating well?" Davies laughed quietly. "Mom, I am fine, I promise. I am on my way to the office now." While speaking, he turned his head and looked out the window. That was when he saw them. A woman walking by the sidewalk, holding a little girl by the hand. The child was wearing an oversized safety jacket used by sanitation workers. It almost covered her whole body. In her other hand, she held a broom, trying to keep up with the woman's steps. Davies' smile disappeared at once. He leaned closer to the window, confused. "Why is that child not in school?" he whispered. "And why is she wearing that safety jacket? Is she also working as a sanitation cleaner?" The sight troubled him deeply. A child dressed like a worker holding a broom on a weekday. It didn't look right. It didn't feel right. His driver glanced back through the mirror. "Sir, is something wrong?" Davies kept looking at the child. "No, it is nothing. Just keep going." But his heart felt a small pull. Something about that girl touched him. Ver's voice came again on the phone. "Davies, are you still there?" He blinked and sat straight. "Yes, Mother, I am here. Sorry, I just saw something by the road, but it is fine." He forced a smile even though the picture of the child stayed in his mind. "All right, my dear," Vera said. "I will call you later. Don't forget to rest." "I won't, Mom. Thank you." He ended the call. The SUV continued moving. It drove past Florence and little Amelia. Davies took one last look back through the window, but he shook the thought away and returned to his phone. When Florence got home with Amelia, she closed the door and leaned against it for a moment. She tried to stay strong, but the weight on her heart was too much. She broke down. Florence fell to her knees and cried. Her tears came hard, hot, and painful. "God, how will I survive?" she cried. "How will I feed 5 children? How will I pay rent? What will happen to us?" Her voice filled the small room with fear. Amelia stood quietly near her. She did not speak. She did not know what to say, but she gently sat beside Florence and held her hand. Her small fingers wrapped around Florence's shaking ones, offering silent comfort. Florence looked at the little girl's face. Seeing the sadness in Amelia's eyes broke her even more. I am trying so hard, but I don't know what to do anymore," Florence whispered through her tears. Amelia said nothing. She only held Florence's hand tighter. Minutes passed. The room was quiet except for Florence's soft sobs. After some time, Florence wiped her tears and tried to sit up straight. She took a long, slow breath, as if forcing strength back into her body. "I cannot give up," she said in a tired voice. "I must get another job, any job at all. I will go out tomorrow morning. I will look everywhere. I will walk until I find something. I cannot sit down and wait for help that may never come." She looked at Amelia and touched her cheek gently. "You are only a child," Florence said softly. "You should not see all this, but thank you for sitting with me. Your presence alone gives me strength." Amelia continued to stay close, still holding her hand, still quiet, still trying to comfort her in the only way she could, by simply being there. Meanwhile, in a tall office building, Davies tried to return to his normal work routine. He read reports, checked numbers, and answered important calls, but his mind was not fully in the office. The image of the small girl he saw earlier kept returning. Her sad face, her tired eyes, her tiny hand holding the broom, and the long safety jacket she was wearing. Davies leaned back in his chair. For some reason, he could not shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He whispered to himself, "Why can't I stop thinking about that child? Why was she walking on the road during school hours?" He brushed off the thought and tried to focus on his laptop. A knock came on his door. "Sir, your meeting is ready," his assistant said. Davies stood up slowly. "All right, I'm coming." 4 days later, in the quiet evening breeze, Florence sat outside their small house. She watched Amelia and the 4 other children playing together in the compound. They were laughing and chasing each other, forgetting for a moment the heavy stress the family was facing. Seeing them happy brought a small smile to Florence's tired face. At least the children could still find joy. As she sat there thinking, her neighbor and friend Mrs. Ruth walked toward her and sat beside her. "Good evening, Florence," she said gently. "Good evening, how are you?" Florence replied. Mrs. Ruth looked at her with concern. "I heard something today and felt I should tell you quickly. There is a company not too far from here. They need a cleaner. The job is open right now. I think you should go there." Florence's eyes widened with sudden hope. "Are you sure?" "Yes, I am sure," Mrs. Ruth said. "A woman from my church works there. She told me this afternoon that they want someone as soon as possible." Florence let out a long breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "Please give me the address. I'll go there first thing tomorrow morning. Thank you so much." "You're welcome," Mrs. Ruth replied with a kind smile and wrote the address on her paper and gave it to Florence before she stood up and left. Florence looked down at the small piece of paper that carried the company address. For the first time in days, she felt real hope. "Maybe tomorrow something will change," she whispered. The next morning, she woke up very early. She prepared breakfast, helped the 4 children get ready for school, and arranged their bags neatly. Then she squatted in front of Amelia and spoke softly. "Amelia, I'm going out to apply for a job. Please stay inside the house. Do not go outside. Do not open the door for anyone. I will return soon." Amelia nodded quietly, and Florence gave her a small smile before stepping out. She arrived at the company building, which was far bigger and cleaner than any place she had worked before. She walked into the reception, nervous but hopeful. A woman at the front desk looked up. "Good morning. How may I help you?" "Good morning," Florence said softly. "I came to apply for the cleaning job. Please follow me," the woman replied. "The manager will see you now." Florence followed her into a small office, her heart beating fast. The interview was short and simple. They asked for her name, her previous work, and if she was ready to begin soon. After listening, the manager nodded. "You can start work tomorrow. Let me take you to the other cleaners you will work with." Relief washed over Florence. "Thank you, sir. Thank you very much." She met her new co-workers, greeted them politely, and looked around the building. A fresh sense of strength filled her. Maybe life was finally giving her a chance. On that same day, far away from the city, Davies walked into an airport terminal with his briefcase in hand. He was traveling abroad for a very important business meeting. His assistant walked beside him and said, "Sir, everything is ready. The plane takes off in 10 minutes. Davies nodded as they approached the stairs leading to the departure. In the days that followed, life slowly began to settle again. Florence worked carefully at the company, cleaning each office with care and doing her best to keep her job. Her new co-workers liked her and her confidence slowly returned. For the first time in weeks, things felt a little normal again. One quiet afternoon at home, Amelia walked up to Florence and held her hand. "Auntie Florence, please can I follow you to work? I don't want to stay alone at home." Florence looked at her sadly. "Oh, Amelia, I would love to take you, but I don't know if my supervisor will allow it. It is an office, not a place for children." Amelia held her hand tighter. "Please ask supervisor. I will not make noise. I just don't want to stay alone." Her small voice broke Florence's heart. "All right," Florence said quietly. "I will ask her tomorrow, but I cannot promise." The next morning at work, Florence walked to her supervisor's office. The supervisor, a firm but fair woman named Mrs. Clara, was going through some documents. "Good morning, Ma," Florence said softly. "Please, may I ask something?" Mrs. Clara looked up. "Go ahead, Florence." "It is about my little child," Florence began. "She stays alone at home. There is no one to watch her. Please, can she come with me? She will stay beside me. She will not disturb anyone." Mrs. Clara thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right," she said. "She may come, but she must stay close to you. No noise, no running around. This is a workspace." Florence bowed her head in relief. "Thank you, Ma. I understand. Thank you very much." When she returned home later that day, she sat beside Amelia and touched her cheek. "You can come with me," she said with a small smile. "But you must be quiet. No noise. Stay close to me at all times." Amelia's face brightened. "Thank you, Auntie Florence. I will be quiet. I promise." The next morning, after the 4 older children left for school, Florence and Amelia held hands and walked to the company. When they arrived, Amelia greeted Florence's co-workers politely. Her calm voice won the hearts of everyone around. Later, Amelia picked up a small mop and looked at Florence. "Auntie Florence, let me help you." Florence smiled gently. She knew Amelia well. Even if she refused, the child would still insist. "All right," she said softly. "Just be careful." Together they cleaned from office to office. After some time they arrived at a large, beautiful office. Everything inside was bright and expensive. The chairs looked new, the table shined, the air felt different. This was the CEO's office. Florence bent down and whispered, "Amelia, this place is very important. Sweep slowly, do not touch anything." Amelia nodded and swept gently. Florence looked into her bucket and saw the water was dirty from all the cleaning they had done. "I need fresh water," she said. "Stay right here, don't move." She stepped out with the bucket, leaving Amelia alone in the grand office. On this same morning, Davies had already returned from his trip abroad and was now being driven straight to his office. Inside the big office, Amelia swept the floor gently. She moved the mop slowly, enjoying the shine of the clean tiles. A small smile sat on her face. She liked helping. She liked being close to Auntie Florence. She liked feeling useful. Then suddenly the door opened. Amelia turned quickly, thinking it was Florence coming back with the clean water, but instead she saw a man, a tall, handsome, well-dressed man. A man with a serious look. It was Davies. He froze at the doorway. His eyes widened as he stared at the small child holding a mop inside his private office. "This child?" he whispered to himself. "The same girl from the road. What is she doing here?" He stepped inside slowly, confused and shocked. Why is a little girl working? Why is she cleaning instead of being in school? Amelia stood still, the mop in her hand, unsure of what to do. Davies walked closer and bent down in front of her so his eyes were level with hers. "Why are you cleaning my office?" he asked gently. "Where is your mother?" Amelia blinked and held the mop tighter. "Auntie Florence is taking care of me," she said softly. "I was helping her." Before Davies could say more, the door opened again. Florence entered carrying a bucket of clean water. The moment her eyes landed on Davies standing in front of Amelia, her heart almost stopped. Her legs became weak. Fear rushed through her body. What happened? Did Amelia spoil something? Is she in trouble? Will I lose my job again? The bucket almost slipped from her hand. "Sir, please," she cried as she dropped the bucket and rushed forward. She fell to her knees right in front of Davies. "Sir, I'm sorry," Florence begged with tears in her eyes. "She did not mean any harm. Please, sir, don't be angry, I beg you. Please don't sack me. Please, sir." Her voice broke. Her hands shook. The fear of losing her job again hit her like a heavy stone. Davies was shocked by her reaction. Before he could speak, voices started gathering outside the door. Workers whispered, "What is happening? Why is Florence kneeling?" A small crowd began to form. Davies walked to the door. He looked at everyone and said firmly, "Please go back to your desks. There is nothing to see." The workers quickly scattered. Davies closed the door and turned to Florence. "Stand up," he said calmly. "I am not angry." Florence looked up slowly, tears running down her cheeks. "But sir," she did not mean to. "Stand up," Davies repeated, holding out a hand to help her. "You are not in trouble. Amelia did nothing wrong." Florence stood shakily. Davies looked at the child, then back at Florence. "I only want to understand," he said quietly. "Why is this child not in school? Children her age should be in class." Florence lowered her eyes. "Sir, it is a long story. I want to hear it," Davies said in a calm but firm voice. "Please tell me everything." The office grew quiet as Davies waited for Florence to speak. Florence wiped her eyes and held her fingers together nervously. "Sir," she said softly, "I can explain, but I think it is better for Amelia to say it with her own mouth. It is her story." Davies nodded gently and turned toward the little girl. He bent down so his eyes were on the same level as hers. His voice was calm and kind. "Amelia," he said, "can you tell me what happened? I want to hear your story." Amelia held the mop tightly with both hands. She looked down for a moment, then slowly lifted her eyes. "My mommy passed when I was born," she said quietly. "I never saw her. I never saw my father too. I don't know him." Davies's eyes softened with sadness. Amelia continued in a soft voice. "I grew up with my grandmother. She took care of me. She tried her best. But she was old, very old." She took a small breath. "When I turned 5, my grandmother passed because of old age. My relatives came for the burial, but nobody wanted me. They said I was an illegitimate child. They said I did not belong to them." She looked at the floor again. "They all left me there, alone." The room fell silent. Florence stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Sir, that day I also came for the burial," she said gently. "I used to be their neighbor before I moved to the city. I knew Amelia's grandmother. She was a good woman." Florence placed her hand softly on Amelia's shoulder. "When I saw how the family treated this child, how they pushed her aside, how they acted like she was nothing, I could not leave her there. I took pity on her. I took her home. She swallowed slowly. Sir, I am just a widow with 4 children. I pay their school fees alone. It is not easy. My salary was never enough. I could not send Amelia to school, but she has been a good girl. She helps me at home. She follows me to work. She always wants to support me. Florence wiped her face and continued. She has never complained, sir, not even once. Davies listened without speaking. Every word touched him deeply. He knew what it felt like to be alone. He knew what it meant to lose everyone. He knew the pain of not having anyone to hold on to. He looked at Amelia, small, innocent, and brave. Then he looked at Florence, tired, worried, but still strong. You are a good woman, Florence, Davy said quietly. You did what many people would never do. You gave a child a home, even when your own life was hard. Florence lowered her head shilly. Right there in his office, a strong decision formed inside Davies, a decision that would change both of their lives forever. The office was silent as Davies looked at Florence and Amelia. After hearing their story, something shifted inside him. He took a slow breath and spoke gently. Florence, from today, things will not remain the same for you, he said. I will help you. I will ease your burden. Come and see me next week. Florence covered her mouth with her hands shaking. Sir, thank you. Thank you so much, she whispered. She picked up her cleaning tools, held Amelia's hand tightly, and walked out of the office slowly. Amelia glanced back once, her small eyes full of hope. As soon as the door closed behind them, Davies sat at his desk and pressed the intercom. Ask my pa to come in, he said. Moments later, his pa walked in with a notepad. Davies began speaking firmly. I need a house arranged for a woman and 5 children in a safe estate. It must be ready by next week. Also, prepare school forms for 5 children. I will pay their full fees and prepare a small business fund for the woman, the PA wrote quickly. Yes, sir, I'll start right away. After the PA left, Davies stood and walked toward the large window. He dialed his mother's number and held the phone to his ear. Mom, he said softly, I met a little girl today. Something about her touched me deeply. I can't get her out of my mind. His mother's warm voice filled the speaker. My son, follow your heart. If you feel a pull toward that child, it is for a reason. Davies nodded slowly. She reminds me of myself alone with no one. Davies ended the call and stood by the window for a long moment. Something inside him felt right, almost destined. A week later, Florence stepped into his office with Amelia by her side. Florence's hands trembled slightly. She didn't know what to expect. Good morning, sir, she said softly. Good morning, Davies replied. Please follow me. They walked outside and Davies' driver opened the back door of his car for them. Florence helped Amelia in, then sat beside her. The drive was quiet. Florence held Amelia's hand the whole time, fear and hope mixing inside her. They arrived at a beautiful housing estate with clean streets and neat buildings. They parked in front of a lovely new house. Florence looked around, confused. Sir, what are we doing here? Davies placed the house key in her hand. This is your new home. Florence froze. Sir, please. I don't know what to say. This is too much. It's not too much, Davies said quietly. Your children will live here. Amelia will have a home. I will also pay all their school fees. And here, he handed her a brown envelope with a check inside. This is a small amount to start a business. Florence fell to her knees in tears. Sir, thank you. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you. Davies helped her stand. You don't need to kneel, Florence. Just take care of the children. Make sure to contact me anytime you need anything. Amelia held Florence's hands tightly, her eyes bright with at happiness. Weeks passed and Davies visited them often. He checked on the children, spoke with Florence, and spent time with Amelia. Each visit made the bond between him and the little girl stronger. She began to open up to him, smile more, and sit close to him without fear. Davies felt something he couldn't explain, a connection, a pull, almost like fate had placed this child in his path, and slowly, little by little, he began to make plan to help her even more. One quiet evening, Davies sat alone in his study. The room was calm, but his mind was not. He leaned back in his chair, thinking deeply. He had helped Florence and the children, but he felt something else pulling at him, something stronger. His thoughts went straight to Amelia, her soft voice, her gentle smile, her quiet, brave heart. He placed his hand on his chest and whispered, Why do I feel so connected to this child? He knew there was one more thing he wanted to do, but he needed to be sure. The next morning, Davies drove to his parents' house. His mother hugged him warmly, and his father shook his hand with a smile. They sat in the living room, and Davies took a slow breath. "Mom, Dad, you already know about Amelia," he began. "I already helped her family, but something in me still feels tied to her. I don't just care about her. I want to take responsibility for her. I want to adopt her. I want her to be my daughter." His mother's eyes softened as she held his hand. "Oh, Davies, that is beautiful," she said. "You have a good heart." His father nodded slowly. "My son, you are about to share the same kindness you once received. We are proud of you. If this is what you want, then do it." Hearing their support made Davies feel calm and sure. The decision felt right. Weeks later, Davies drove to Florence's house. She opened the door surprised but happy to see him. "Sir, good afternoon," she said. "Good afternoon, Florence," he replied. "I came to talk to you about something important." They sat down, and Davies spoke clearly. "I want to adopt Amelia." Florence stared at him, shocked. "Sir, adopt," she repeated slowly. "Yes," Davies said. "I want her to be my daughter. I want her to have a home, a stable life, a future." Florence's eyes filled with tears. "Sir, I don't know what to say. If this is what you want, then I agree." She went inside and called Amelia. The little girl came out with a bright smile. She always smiled when she saw Davies. "Good afternoon, sir," she said. Davies bent down a little so he was closer to her height. "Amelia," he said softly, "I want to ask you something important. Would you like to be my child?" Amelia froze. She understood the question. She understood what it meant. Her eyes filled with happy tears. "Yes, sir," she whispered. Florence hugged her tightly. "You will always be part of my life," she said. "But now you will have more. You deserve more." 2 weeks later, all three of them went to the adoption office. Davies signed the papers. Florence signed her part. The adoption was complete. After signing the papers, Davies took Amelia straight to his parents' house. His mother opened the door first, and the moment she saw Amelia standing beside him, she smiled warmly. "Welcome, my dear," she said, bending a little to look at her face. Amelia greeted politely. "Good afternoon, Ma." Her calm voice and gentle manners touched Davies' mother deeply. Davies' father came forward too. "So, this is the little girl we've heard so much about," he said with a warm smile. Amelia greeted him respectfully as well, standing quietly beside Davies. In just a few minutes, they liked her immediately. She was calm, she was respectful. She blended into the atmosphere as if she had always been part of the family. Davies watched her and felt something warm in his chest. From that day, he had someone beside him, someone who now called him father. From that day, Amelia moved into Davies' mansion. She had her own room, a lot of new clothes, a nanny who took care of her, and above all, she had a father who loved her. Davies made sure she lacked nothing. He made her feel seen, safe, and important. As for Florence, her business grew fast. She was able to pay all her children's school fees easily. Life became stable and peaceful for her family. Florence continued to visit Davies' home from time to time. She always came with her 4 children to check on Amelia and make sure she was doing well. Each time they visited, Amelia ran to hug them. The house was filled with laughter, stories, and joy. Florence watched Amelia closely during every visit. What she saw warmed her heart. The child looked happy. She looked safe. She looked loved. Davies treated her with care and patience, guiding her like a true father. Amelia had found her place. 2 years later, something else changed. Davies got married. His wife was a gentle woman with a warm smile and a calm spirit. From the first moment she met Amelia, she knelt down and opened her arms to her. Amelia walked into her embrace without fear. The new wife held her gently, the way a mother holds a child she cares about. She welcomed Amelia into her life fully. She treated her right. She protected her. She loved her not as a stepchild, but as her own daughter. Amelia grew in a home filled with kindness. She went to school, made friends, and grew stronger each day. She had a father who chose her and a mother who accepted her with open arms. Florence watched all of this from a distance with gratitude in her heart. She knew Amelia was truly in the right hands. Amelia now had everything she once prayed for. A home, a family, love, and a future brighter than she ever dreamed. And so the little girl who once had no one found a home she could call her own, found parents who loved her deeply, and found a life filled with hope, comfort, and joy. That was how her story changed forever. The story of Amelia teaches us one strong truth. Kindness has the power to rewrite a person's entire life. Florence had little, yet she still opened her heart. Davies had much, yet he still chose to give more. And a small girl who once had no one found a home, a family, and a future full of hope. This story reminds us that love is not only about blood, Sometimes family is the people who choose you, and it reminds us that every good act we do, no matter how small, can change someone's world forever. I would love to hear from you. What lesson did you learn from this story? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. I would truly love to read from you. And get ready because I have another very interesting and emotional story coming up in a few days. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified the moment I upload it. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends so they too can enjoy this powerful message. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.